because I'm sure a lot of us already know this. These statistics gone up. OFWs, overseas foreign workers, in 2008 increased by 14%. This has been going up and up and up in the last few years. In BC alone, because I only found BC stats, sorry. In BC alone, the stats for caregivers went from 3,991 admitted in 2004 to 8,052 in 2008. Almost 3/4 are women. Almost 3/4 of, sorry, those are temporary workers. So that includes the nannies. Of course, Filipinos also doing farm work. Here in Toronto, here in Southern Ontario, Filipinos are being brought in now to do farm work, mostly men in that case. And the overall statistic is about 3/4 of all the temporary Filipino workers are female. The film we just saw, I just wanted to comment about that briefly. I have a different point of view on this, and I'm sure a lot of us might have a different point of view on this, because there was a quote there that kind of set me back a little bit. I understand from the point of view of the film, but for mine, the gentleman there used the word that you drive by and you see this anonymous group of people that don't look like us. Well, this is Toronto, and a lot of those people look like us. A lot of those people look like me, a lot of those people look like you and you, right? So we have to get over this idea as well of Toronto, Canada, only having this one look. Though, great film. Just minor criticism, minor criticism. So, as we all know, there was a partial victory scored in the Living Caregiver program in the last couple months. The 2-year requirement to finish that 12 months has been extended to 3 years. The second health check, which was the problem that happened with Juana Tejada, she got cancer while working here, and then she couldn't get permanent residence because she got cancer working here. That has been removed. So these are, of course, partial victories, and this is great, but we can't forget that the most onerous parts of the program still exist. These women, and some men, still have to live in the homes of their employers. There's still no real oversight to everything, and the exploitation is continuing there. So even though it's great what has been done, just let's not forget that it's not finished there yet. And let's not forget that this economic crisis is all linked. Again, I just want to bring it back to that mining issue. It's just one small issue, but it all comes together. In the Philippines, I want to talk a little bit about the problems there, since it's old school there now. In the Philippines, the main way for the government to make money these days, since they've done such a good job of liberalizing the policies and of pretty much letting foreign corporations do what they want within their own borders. In mining, for example, in 2005, they allowed 100% foreign ownership. They allow for 100% repatriation of profits. They allow for, you don't even have to sell the gold on the Philippine market, so that gets rid of another layer of taxation. When I was there, in this area actually, I would see the helicopter leave every afternoon at 4 o'clock. And the helicopter carries the gold from that day to the ports. The ports go to Hong Kong, and they sell the gold in Hong Kong. The Philippines, the economy there is basically based on sending Filipinos out. We're the #1 export, yeah? So the amount of money being made there is in 2008 was $16.4 million. This has gone down in 2009, and it's going to go down again in 2010 because of this global economic crisis. Because of this global crisis, obviously this is going to have ramifications. Less overseas workers are going to be able to send those overseas workers are not going to be able to send as much money back because they're going to be paid less. And they're also being put into worse conditions, because obviously the harder it hits here, the worse the conditions are going to be. If you think of this woman or man living inside this home, if the husband and wife there suddenly get hit by a financial crisis, the level of stress goes up within that home. And once stress levels go up, of course, other forms of abuse will go up as well. Since this is all new, I haven't found any stats on this, but I'm sure this is going to be the case. In the Philippines, just to go back to that, the official poverty rates have gone up as well. So even though the Philippines has been in crisis pretty much its entire existence, it's gone worse with this global crisis. In the official poverty rates, and these are of course official poverty rates because you know how governments will fudge the numbers to decide who's poor and who's not, have gone up. From 23.8 million in 2003 to 27.6 in 2006, which was the last census time. The unemployed and underemployed has gone from 8.34 million in 2001 to 15.6 in 2009. And these are, of course, the statistics being done in the Philippines. Only count those people that are still looking for work, and work is counted there as any type of actual work. So if I'm working in the store of my grandmother and I don't get paid, it still counts as me being employed, for example. So these stats are actually kind of weird. The true stats, or at least closer to being the true stats, tabulated by IBON, which some of you guys might know, it's the major statistical organization in the Philippines, is that about 25.37 million, or as much as 32.41 million, are jobless or have jobs of poor quality. So they're just not making that much money, or they work for their grandmother at their corner store. The combined unemployed, unpaid family workers, own account workers, non-regular or non-contract wage and salary workers is the equivalent to about 64.4% of the population. Skip over this. And of course, we all remember that typhoon, what was it called here? It was Ondoy there, Ketsana it was called in the West, I think. Yeah, whatever. That last typhoon, I can't remember the English name for it. That, of course, affected almost 300,000 families in the capital region. A lot of those people are still homeless, so it's, of course, going to affect that as well. And the big problem in the Philippines, of course, all comes down to this liberalization and the amount of debt that the country now has. So that for every $1 in tax that's being collected, 60 cents is being put to pay off the debt, which is currently around $53 billion. And that's going to go up. The deficit for 2009, for example, was 272 billion pesos, around $6 billion. The original projection for the deficit in 2009, in the budget in 2008, was 40 billion pesos. So 40 billion pesos became 272.5 billion pesos. Whoever can do quick math, how much is 40 billion pesos in dollars? It's about 1 billion Canadian dollars. 1 billion Canadian dollars was what it was supposed to be. And all this is despite, or more likely because of, the fact that the Philippines is probably one of the best supporters of neoliberal policies in the world, yeah? According to the APEC report last year, and these are a couple quotes, the Philippines is coping well in the existing global economic crisis and has made significant economic progress. Another quote, the Philippines has progressively reduced tariff levels and eliminated non-tariff measures. Notable improvements were achieved in its standards and conformance, customs rules and regulations, and the mobility of people. Various structural policy reforms have supported enhanced domestic competition and the growth of the market economy and private sector development. So we're doing really well, according to APEC, yeah? And of course, if none of this was bad enough, things are pretty bad for anyone who says anything bad about what's going on. As a lot of you probably know, the extrajudicial killings, the death squads in the Philippines have killed 1,118 as of the end of 2009. And that's for this current president who came into power in 2001. This is only second to President Marcos, who was 1,600, 1,500-ish in 20 years. So she's doing really well. Like for me, it's in an ironic sort of way. If it wasn't real, it's all so crazy. Like you look at it and it's just like if it was a satire, it'd be hilarious. But it's not. So I probably shouldn't laugh. But for some reason, it's all just crazy to me. The Ampatuan massacre, which just happened last year. You remember the 57 people that were killed in Mindanao. 30 of them were journalists. Making the Philippines now the #1 most dangerous place for a journalist to be working. It was #3 last year, it was #2 the year before that, and it was #1 between like 1986 to 2001, 2002. So right now we're #1 again, at least in something. That's just like the tip of the iceberg, right? Like that's just the one that made the news. That area also has Canadian connections. Also has connections to what's happening right now. CIDA funded a good governance program in Ampatuan in order to train these people in how to do well as government members. And of course, the elections are coming up soon, and the two major big names most likely to win is Noynoy Aquino and Gilberto Cojanco Teodoro. That's Gibo, right? Yeah. And both these guys come from large landlord class, hacienda-owning families. These are the families that are like that were responsible for like the Hacienda Luisita massacre. And these are the two biggest names that are running for the next election. And it's just going to show that this is not something that is over. This economic crisis is going to continue getting worse and worse and worse in the Philippines. And Canadians here are affected by it as well, because a lot of us are coming here because of it. Because of what's happening there, a lot of us are coming here. And we're coming here, and like basically it's, the reason so many caregivers are coming here is because we don't have a real daycare program, right? And this is a huge effect for Canadian families. And if we were to do something about this, it would not only help the Filipinos that are coming over, it would help the everyday Canadian as well.